everybody. Ann.
Hi everyone, it's Mark and Ann with Meridian Medical Staffing. Mark and Ann. Today we're going to talk about or continue our series on traveler marketability. And today's topic really is about certifications and how important those are in making yourself marketable to every hospital. And I think we'll start this conversation by talking about how these nurses are in direct competition with each other. We're seeing how many more and more jobs are becoming really, really competitive. So certifications is a way to make sure that you're at the top of the pond. We've seen some examples recently where, a 20-year ER nurse, for example, that doesn't have TMCC, is having trouble or asking us, how come they're not getting interviews with other companies. We've said, well, here's why. We're that transparency company. Instead of just plopping them in front or throwing them in front of assignments left and right, most of which they haven't even given permission to go in front of, another whole topic of discussion.
We have.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they call us saying, how come I'm not? And the first thing the recruiter says, well, gosh, you don't have a certification that 95+% of people
I
out there
have 20 years of experience. That should matter more than a TNCC.
And our
I hear
answer
that
is,
all the time.
How's that working out for you? Is it happening?
Unfortunately, I get their point. Would you rather
Sure.
have a 20-year ER nurse, or would you rather have a 5-year ER nurse with a TNCC? And the fact of the matter is that it's just reality. They oftentimes have to have a TNCC, so the 5-year nurse is going to get the job over the 20-year nurse without it.
It's a rule for their hospital, rule for the department head, or it's maybe that direct manager feels that that's more important. I certainly can't, again, I'm not an ED director, so I'm going to trust what he or she's going to say. But it's
the
real.
point is to make you marketable. So you've got to do the things that the majority of the facilities out there are expecting of you, and the majority of those facilities want a TNCC for ER nurses.
Times have changed. I think that people are resting on their laurels and saying, well, I never used to need it. I didn't need it for my hospital. I've gotten by for 7-8 years of traveling without it. Well, when you're calling us and we're giving you that transparent answer that other companies don't give you, here's why. Here's the recruiting that we're actually doing, as opposed to just taking orders and saying you need to go out and get this because you're going to have it. Even if the hospital's going to interview you, they're going to want it by the time you start, which is going to delay your start. So go out and get it.
Well, you should pay for it for me.
Totally different topic. We already talked about the different.
And what video? Tom.
And nothing is free.
We got to learn how to do the thing where you can go back up and click the link.
Sure.
Have you seen YouTubers that do that?
But anyway, in this one, we've got to get to the point where travelers, L&D nurses without fetal monitoring.
Yeah.
Even med-surg nurses nowadays that don't have ACLS. More and more hospitals are requiring ACLS as a specific requirement that's hospital-wide, so that anybody could stop a nurse and they've got advanced resuscitation. So it's not just a want to have sometimes, it's a need to have. So first example, if you're missing something off of what's the norm in travel, just ask your recruiter, do I have everything? If you're not getting interviews with that kind of experience, something is blatantly wrong.
I would say a good recruiter should tell you straight up. I don't think a nurse should have to ask the recruiter.
Well, I'm saying with their other company.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what we're getting. We're getting people coming to us saying, I've been being submitted by this other company, they can't give a job.
Yeah.
How come you guys are getting responses? Because we're telling them what they need. Yeah, tell us.
Yeah.
The opposite's true as well. If you've got a younger nurse or somebody who's been nursing for 5-6 years, you guys are competing against the nurses that have more experience. Now, you can have great references, you can have a super strong skill set. Your resume can be from great teaching hospitals or places that really pad and bump up your resume, but at the end of the day, some nurses, as you said, are looking for years of experience. So a certification, like a real, let's take an ICU nurse, or let's take our ER nurse, for example, that now this guy or gal has ENPC. We've seen that where it takes it to a whole different level. They're getting phone calls with 5 and 6 year experience, actually beating the nurse with a lot more because they look on paper like they can hit the ground running. And that's what the job is, to get the phone call. From there, we're not on the phone, we can't interfere, it's up to the nurse, but getting that phone call is incredibly important. And these certifications make that phone ring.
They do.
For somebody that doesn't have the experience.
Give you a lot of opportunity. I think additional opportunity as well in terms of new experiences.
Yeah.
Like a med-surg nurse especially, I think the more certs that you have, the more likely you are. There's the most needs, I think, across the country are med-surg.
Well, it's the biggest number of nurses
in RNs, right? But I've seen an RN, a med-surg RN, go out and get every cert out there. I mean, even, TNCC, things that she didn't necessarily need, and then was able, because of those certs, was able to get into a critical access hospital, and then get experience in the ER,
That's right.
which then she was able to, take into other assignments, and now is slowly moving her way into, a straight up ER situation. But she never would have had that opportunity had she not had those certs.
Absolutely.
And I think as a nurse manager, I know just doing my job, when I get resumes for recruiters, I'm looking through all of those resumes quickly to figure out who's got, more experience. I'm eliminating and I'm including,
right.
and I want a quick way to do that. And when, a nurse manager sees a med-surg nurse with, ACLS, BLS, stroke, NIH stroke, all of that good stuff, they are thinking, okay, this is somebody I want to keep in the pile.
Right.
So I think, you get looked at faster and kept in the pile longer.
That's the bottom line, is that we're not sitting here saying run out and get every certification. We're saying if you had it, you're probably going to do yourself a good, favor. Not only are you going to get the knowledge that you're going to gain from taking that course and passing that course, but you are going to make yourself more marketable, which is the whole point. It is a dog-eat-dog world out there, and you are absolutely, make no mistake, in competition with everybody else that's watching this video. So when you are looking at your choice A, you've got to look and say, how do I stack up against my competition? And, you've got to make yourself on paper be the one that they say, this is the guy or gal I'm going to phone, make a phone call, which goes down to everything. But certifications is a very, I shouldn't say easy way, because that's downplaying how difficult some of these courses are.
Yeah.
It is a way for the nurse with less experience to move himself or herself to the top of that pile to get that phone call. And I can't understate it enough. We've seen it time and time again, where one of our recruiters submits a nurse to one of our account managers, and they're like, yeah, this person's going to get a position. And we're like, oh, really? Oh, yeah, because she's got all these certifications. It's not necessarily about, the years of experience. It's that I went the extra mile and did something to make myself a stronger nurse. And that's really what it comes down to. So nurse managers want that. They want that working for them.
Yeah.
In a supplemental staffing, part-time, 3 months basis.
The other thing I would say too that helps, just in the environment that we're all in, I think when you compare an associate's degree versus a bachelor's degree, I think you give yourself a better chance if you have an associate's degree, if you are strong on all of those certs.
Yeah.
I think that's going to make a big difference too. Unfortunately, I mean, we could have that whole discussion another day, but
kind of goes along with this.
I don't think I would say go get an go get a bachelor's degree if you've been working for 15 years, with an associate's. But I do think the more certs you have with an associate's, the better you look on paper. Which is honestly what we're saying right now. Is you don't get to go on the floor and watch a nurse. A nurse doesn't get to watch you be a nurse.
Right.
So you have to look really good
you
on
that?
Paper. It's just a remote recruiter calling me.
There you go.
Sorry.
So I guess the whole point is this whole series is really, and if you look at these individually, it's about making yourself more marketable.
Yeah.
And credentialing, I keep saying that, certification is a part of that. It's one of the big steps that you've got to look at as far as your marketability
And
goes.
to the credentialing point, don't let them expire.
Oh,
I see that all the time. Like, I let my TNCC expire. I let my PALS expire. Don't.
Or it's about to in 2 weeks, and I want to get an assignment in 3 weeks, so I'm going to have to rush out now and try to find.
And companies, we try very hard. We do our due diligence to make sure, our nurses know, hey, this is coming up, this is about to expire. But, we have tons of nurses to keep track of in terms of that. So, I would say take that responsibility on yourself and just use us as a little, catch-all in case you forget.
Stay certified, I guess.
Yeah, stay certified and then continue to get more, I think is, key.
Right. I think you guys get the gist of this. Certifications are one more pretty good-sized wrinkle in the traveler marketability fold that you can make a big difference in raising yourself to the top of that interview pile.
I would also say this. A lot of times I see on social media where, a 20-year-old nurse is complaining that she's not getting an assignment. and all these newbie nurses are, you know, getting the assignments and, you know, they're driving rates down and this and that. And the first thing I think to myself is, I bet that 20-year-old nurse doesn't have the certs that the 5-year
Or
experience
another
nurse
topic,
has.
they probably, their resume looks, you know,
Yeah.
it's difficult to read or translate. It's a whole
I
different
think
topic.
that's really ultimately the point that people need to really understand, especially from this side, is that I wish that it was all about experience, but it's really not
No.
just about experience. It is about an entire package, and that package looks like, you know, certs and
Right.
and all that good
Well,
fun stuff.
I think you guys get the gist of this one. Certifications is a huge part of your travel and marketability. Go above and beyond, take the extra step to make yourself more marketable. If you are a good nurse, keep them up, keep them from expiring, and stay marketable. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna keep getting frustrated. It's gonna get you your choice A as opposed to your choice C sometimes, for sure. All right.
You went from A to C.
Yeah, because it does. We've seen it before where you have to settle. So thanks again. Happy Friday, and we'll talk to you guys again next Friday. We'll continue this series. I'm gonna get up and do my thing now.
Yep. Bye.